talk with the lovely Tracy. It was the best free hugger we had. Now, a lot of people think we're in a cult. We totally disagree. We're not a cult. We're a load of free-thinking individuals. And this bee above us, that's our God.
Historically, we are the debris, forgotten faces, never more to be. Instead of legends fighting for something that had no guarantees, living ghosts, we chose to live and die as their worker bees. Why didn't we break out from their hide? Why didn't we follow our own sun to another life? Why didn't we scroll over all their flowers? Brothers and sisters, it's okay to be brothers and sisters, it's time to be freedom of movement, freedom of thought, freedom to choose, freedom to talk, freedom of religion and association, freedom of the press, freedom to be you, freedom to be you, freedom to be me. I can feel your secret vibrations like our last fading song. It's time, oh, it's time to be free. I can hear your vibrations like a final human cry. Oh, it's time, oh, it is time to be it's time, way past time to be free.
Good evening, Paul, or as we say in our cult. So let's bring in our things. First, I'll bring in Tony. Hey, Tony.
Hi,
And,
Michael. How are you?
Thanks to get you back. Sorry that we can't be watching Four Corners tonight, which we're all probably sick of. So if you watch us like this, you know what we're watching. And of course, Australian of the Year, Dr. Miley. We'll go down the bottom here. Thanks for coming back, Doctor.
Thank you.
I really mean that. Yeah. Yeah. So we left off last. Tony was having a bit of trouble coming on. His sound's better now. And so why don't we jump right into it? and I think Paul has some questions too. But I think we got up to the point where you're finally doing your speech, Doctor, to the court, your closing arguments. And I was wanting to hear either from you or Tony or Paul what you actually said, because everybody was saying you were incredible when you did it.
Yes, so like I said at the last episode, that I was hoping that Tony would get to speak on my behalf. So the judge rejected the application, so he kicked Tony and a friend of mine who's my support person off the so-called bar table. And so I had to sit on my own with all my files and all that on the table. So the judge shouted really loudly to one of my friends who was sitting next to me, and I felt like it was a form of intimidation to make me scared that I'm going to be left alone and I have to do all this on my own. So I proceeded to do that, and before I started, he said to me, where he wanted me to speak out, to say it out, to speak what I have to say rather than reading it off the script. So I started speaking. But basically, the case that I wanted to present to the tribunal is it's about the illegality of my case. So essentially, the first two complaints, the Westmead and the John Smith complaint, they are not, they don't meet the requirement of the law to enable the Healthcare Complaints Commission to investigate me or to bring me before the emergency suspension hearing. It hasn't passed the bar, so to speak. It hasn't passed the test because the first complaint was from an intern who didn't know why she made a complaint against me, and there was no patient consent. The second complaint was about John Smith, who stole the prescription from the chemist, and it so happened that he forgot to redact the Medicare number, which allowed me to identify who that script belonged to. And I knew the whereabouts of this prescription. And I went to the chemist to look for my prescription when I got a complaint. And the chemist said that, or the chemist assistant said that she handed that over to an APRA agent. So the question is, how did John Smith get hold of a prescription of a family member of mine that's in the hands of APRA agent? And why didn't the Healthcare Complaints Commission investigate the fraudulent nature of this complaint? Instead of investigating me, it should investigate John Smith. So who is John Smith? Now, the legislation required that the Healthcare Complaints Commission has to inform me the identity of the complainant, the identity of John Smith within 14 days after it's been assessed. So they never told me the identity of John Smith. Now, what happened is that about approximately 2 weeks after I was suspended, the medical council proceeded to make a secret complaint against me to the Healthcare Complaints Commission without telling me. That they did it without informing me. So first of all, there's a lot of issue with this. The medical council is not allowed to make a complaint against me on a matter that it just adjudicated on. So the medical council acted as a judge and also decided to act as complainant. And that's just against the law. It's against natural justice. You can't be the judge and the complainant. And they also did it in secret. They didn't tell me. It's just happened that during this proceeding, they had to submit a document that state that the medical council had referred my matter to the Healthcare Complaints Commission, because the legislation required that they have to prove that they've done that. And that document was an internal email between the two departments. And I got to see that. And that document revealed they did it unlawfully. So first of all, they deemed that the first two complaints were valid complaints by law, and it was not. And secondly, they only they dropped those two first complaints, and they only used the third complaint as the complaint that resulted in my prosecution. So the basis of my matter before the tribunal is completely invalid, because that third complaint is invalid in law. Yes.
What did the judge say to that? What did the magistrate say to that, or whatever we call him?
Well, he's reserved the decision, so I have to wait and see what he has to say. But I made my case, and the Healthcare Complaints Commission get a chance to state their case. Yeah, so.
What was it like watching it, Tony, hearing her speak? I mean, it just makes, I'm shaking my head because I'm so angry how they are, but you just got to keep it in.
Look, every step of the way, Michael. I mean, it's just a cacophony of illegality. There's not one procedure they've followed that's correct. There's not one thing they've done right. I mean, it is just, it's been gobsmacking to follow. And then, you know, in the last couple of weeks, I've had sort of intensive training from Mai Lee, and we've drilled right down to the nitty-gritty. And she's assembled all this case law that makes it quite clear that what they've done doesn't stick in a courtroom, you know. I mean, well, look, the simple fact is, you know, our legal system is based on the presumption of innocence. She was given the flick. She was found guilty on October the 6th, 2021. And she's been fighting to prove her innocence. As this form of so-called justice in these tribunals is the complete antithesis of common law justice, where the presumption of innocence means there is to be no harm done to the accused until a jury of 12 of their peers find, you know, unanimously that they're guilty of the crime. And if that was the case, if there were 12 commoners out there just listening to this, they'd just chuck it out of court. I mean, you know, it wouldn't get 10 minutes down the road, let alone 8 days of this.
Yeah, I can't believe it wasn't thrown out. Just from what Dr. Mai Lee said, the fact that they threw out the first two complaints, to me, should have been a mistrial. Like, get rid of it. It's, you know, this is obviously fraudulent stuff.
I like Robin's comment. It was something like, it's organised crime to me.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what it feels like we're dealing with, Tony. You know?
Yep. That's what it is.
It's like The Sopranos.
It's corporate criminal behaviour. Yeah. Pure and simple. If you can imagine an evil corporation that acts with impunity through criminal, illegal means, that's what's happening in our medical regulation system in Australia. And they're working, it would appear, for the interests of Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Right? They're acting in the interests of Big Pharma. They're not acting in the interests of you and I, the Australian people. They're not protecting us.
Yeah.
They're lying to us. They're lying to us, and they're directing doctors to do dangerous health practices towards us. And those like Mai Lee that actually want to do good, they just push them aside. I mean, Mai Lee's, it's 3 years and 10 months. I mean, it's just, Gobsmacking. How can you do this for 3 years and 10 months? And every step of the way is illegal. And Miley's laid it out in detail, every illegal step. You know, if she was to go through the case the last 3 years and 10 months, it would take her 10 hours. She didn't have enough time in the courtroom to go through it step by step. She has done with me, and I tell you, it takes 10 hours to lay it out step by bloody step. It's unreal.
Can I say, Tony? Can I say, Tony? I think there's a more fundamental level at which, even more fundamental level in which, you know, it was a prosecution, and at one stage, Miley was going, you know, I feel like it's an inquisition, and the senior member, whatever, said, yes, it is an inquisition, and then they go, oh, but it has no impact on you, you know. And you know, I would have thought that if Miley had brought in a what do you call it, like a service animal, it would have been justified because it was, because I was there before, you know, before the summation for the meeting, and you know, there were fundamental assumptions that the panels, the observers could see about ivermectin, about basically the Health Complaints Commission was defending its policy from early 2021, which was do nothing, stay at home, take a Panadol, and if you go blue or can't breathe, call an ambulance. That was all the government was offering. And they're defending this policy tooth and nail, and especially because she used not the holy horse paste, but she used ivermectin to you know.
It was legal when she was using it.
It was never illegal. It was never illegal. It was a registered, you know, it's a drug that's been used around the world. It's one of the, you know, 20 most essential drugs.
Won a Nobel Prize.
It won a Nobel Prize. It's probably the safest drug. It's very cheap to manufacture, but it's really devastating to big pharma profits and people who were lying about the threat of their first bioweapon so they could sell their second, you know, and this is what I mean. They've got this, this is what they were defending the whole time. And this is why Tony and I had trouble keeping our, keeping our cool, because this is the position that the HCCC is pushing and prosecuting. And Miley, I wanted to ask you about section 150, section 145, the appeal, because they went against the comments made in Pridgeon by the same, same Supreme Court of Appeal, although that was in obiter dictum in paragraph 54. But when they sat down, they went, "Oh, it seems to me like they redefined interim as indefinite." So, it's okay. It's an interim power, but we can investigate it for the next 2 centuries. It's a bit like on the 15th of August they temporarily ended the convertibility of the US dollar to gold, August 15th, 1971, temporarily. Okay, so it's like that, an interim power that can go on for 54 years.
Well, that's it.
This is why I'm trying to. You explain to them that they made an error, but of course they've got a decision now on that particular argument in the Court of Appeal. But it's very curious because afterwards the legal chatter was, "Oh, this fits with the harmonious operation of the Act. We crucify, we identify, and we persecute, and until we strike them of all their possessions." And do you know what I mean? This is what the HCCC is doing. I'll rest for a moment.
Okay. So let me just explain so that some people can follow this law that Dr. Oosterhuis talking about. So Paul and I challenged this law that's really, it's black and white in simple English, and the Healthcare Complaints Commission and the tribunal should be able to understand that very easily. I think it's a year 9 standard sort of wordings. It says that serious complaint must refer. Both the healthcare complaints, both the commission and the Council for Health must refer, has a duty and must refer the practitioner or the student to the tribunal if at any time it form the belief that if substantiated could result in suspension or cancellation of the registration. Now, they suspended me 3 years and 10 months ago. That they supposed to refer me the minute they thought about wanting to suspend me. And the minute they thought about wanting to cancel my license, they have to refer me to the tribunal for an independent hearing where the matter, the merits and the substantive matter should be heard before the tribunal. And that's a mandatory legislation. They can't get away with it because it's
But they
stated
did.
here that
They
did.
But they
They
did
did.
because this is my point. They redefined. They said yes, it's an interim power, but it's interim until it's met several conditions.
No, so Paul, the interim power is the section 150, but
Yes.
145D, the minute they think that if they believe that the matter is serious, they have to refer. They don't have a choice. It's mandatory. So they refuse to do that. Now, that legislation is really important because that legislation allowed Paul to be a free man because that's what he challenged in the Supreme Court, and I did the same. So I did this in 2003, and I got my my hearing heard in March of 2004. Now, so like Paul said, this legislation, how it should have been interpreted, and how it should be enforced, it was explained in the Pridgen case in 2022. So the 3 judges, including the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, was on the case, and they said that serious complaint must be referred, and that the Medical Council does not have any power to suspend anyone unless it is an emergency, and the emergency has to be proven. There has to be evidence that it's an emergency and that people's lives are at threat, and that's the only time that they can suspend. At other time, they have to refer the doctor or the practitioner to the tribunal to be heard independently. Because if they do that, because they don't want to do that, because by doing that, they can no longer control us. The minute they refer the doctor or the practitioner to the tribunal, then they no longer have a hold of us.
Marley, they did refer you.
No, they didn't.
2 years later.
No. So you got to know that this referral to the tribunal is not under section 145D1. So 145D1, the legislation required them to refer the initial matter, the matter that was heard before the section 150 concerning the complaints and that, that matter has to be referred to tribunal. This referral currently that I'm facing is not 145D1, it's actually 149C. 149C is the Healthcare Complaints Commission Director of Proceedings deemed that I'm a danger to the public, and they have evidence that I am a danger, and hence they have to cancel my license. So the 2 referrals are completely different. So I'm arguing that they failed in referring me to the tribunal under Section 145D1. And hence, procedurally, this is a procedural lack of procedural fairness, and it cannot be corrected because it's been so long ago. So they should have referred me before they even suspended me. So that's my right. I have a right.
The panel was just a panel. It wasn't a tribunal.
No.
It wasn't a court. It's not a trivial thing to throw a doctor decades of good standing on the street. It's meant to be reviewed, you know.
Yes.
So I think what you're saying, Miley, if I'm summarizing it right, is that the way the act was written, it was the way the act was written, it was for public protection. And I mean, it's really hard for any of us sitting here in 2025 to look back and see how you prescribing some ivermectin in 2021 is a threat to public health. You know, honestly, that's the real bias that I'm worried about. That the fact that the tribunal members, it still seemed like new information that they really didn't want to hear, but they couldn't help but hear the evidence of Pierre Corey and Professor Robert Clancy and all your great witnesses. They couldn't help hear it, and you know, to me, that cuts at the very validity of making a complaint, any complaint, for their mechanism. It's got to be in the public interest. Think of the huge amount of resources they've consumed to perform their inquisition. You know.
But the point is that there's no harm. No harm has done to anyone, and no patients made a complaint against me. The 6 complaints that are before the tribunal were created by the Healthcare Complaints Commission. So they, you know, and after 7 days of hearing, they could not demonstrate that anyone was harmed by it. In fact, the Healthcare Complaints Commission's expert witness admitted that I saved the woman's life using steroid. So how could the Healthcare Complaints Commission be pursuing me and saying that they're acting in protection of the public? They're not protecting the public. I'm sorry. They are persecuting me, punishing me for prescribing ivermectin and not complying with their lies about COVID in 2021. And all of my expert witnesses are world-renowned. They're not just your average, doctor in this country. They're eminent physicians who's treated, Pierre Corey treated 6,000 patients or more with COVID-19, and Professor Clancy, one of the best in this country. So if they're supporting me, why is the Healthcare Complaints Commission against me?
It's a great question, isn't it? And it cuts to the crux. It really does cut to the crux. I'm just saying, we've got this proportion of the population that think that the panel are impaired. To the extent that their evidence base is stuck in 2021, it hasn't been updated, and that they're persecuting, you know, that's a real worry for our society. You know, to me, it's the outrages that the HCCC chose to spend all these resources to make your life hard. To my mind, they obfuscated their obligations by playing around with the definition of interim, and I suspect now they're and if you can make interim, you know, indefinite, like any good government program, then they can rationalize themselves that they're following the act and it's acting harmoniously. But to everyone else who's watching the show, Miley, it's a travesty of justice. It's an indictment on our legal system.
So they abused the legislation, they abused their power, and they, in breach of every legislation that was in the way they handled the complaints, in the way they handle my issue, they've been in breach of every single legislation.
They're in
Do you
breach of
remember,
sanity.
Fraser, do you remember about 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago or more, there was a doctor in Queensland who wasn't a surgeon. He had fake things, and they got him. I think he cut off someone's leg and something. Do you remember that? And he was on, they were on 60 Minutes, Current Affairs. Everyone was going after this guy, and the medical board literally did nothing for ages. Now this guy was basically, this was why the legislation was there, to stop this guy, and yet and here you are, and their expert witness said you saved the person's life, and they're still coming after you. It's beyond
it's two-tier justice, Michael.
We're in evil territory now,
It's two-tier justice. We have, and at the conference that Dr. Nero organised, the Misdeeds of APRA, we had speakers who gave examples after example of people like that who were horrendous risks to the public, and were given a tick in back to service, which makes you, when you contrast that. So I'm talking about the true purpose of protecting the public. Okay, this is why I'm saying I'm worried the panel has got a breach with sanity because they've been given this evidence. Will they take it on board? I think they have a legal sandbox that they're politically mastered. I think they all get paid by the same people. They all get paid by the same people. So that's a conflict of interest. But when they all work together, and effectively, it appears to me like a political prosecution.
How did they know what chemist to go to get that handwritten prescription? Do you reckon they followed you, or how did they know?
No, I think that the chemist was overzealous and had my ivermectin script at the time it was banned, and he just handed that over innocently. I think it was innocently done, and so the healthcare, and I believe that the health regulators had my prescription and decided to, or someone, I don't know who that is, decided to falsify a complaint against me and forgot to redact the Medicare number.
The police should be checking that out. The police, that's a crime. The police should be checking that out. Anthony, thank you for your comments, Anthony, the great comments. But the police,
so
what do you think, Tony? Me listening to this is a criminal act.
It is. And I made I lodged a complaint to the police. They I hope they're investigating, but yeah.
And you send the complaint to the ombudsman, Rachel McClosson.
I've done everything that I needed to do. Written to many people. Our health minister.
This is why I was furious with her, because she's nominally the watchdog over APRA, and she is just has totally failed in her role. And you did point out to her for help, and she's been in that position since 2018, so she watched the whole show, and I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed.
But during the course of this, there was something that's really disturbing, was that the prescription that was in the John Smith complaint was mixed in with the Westmead complaint. So when the Healthcare Complaints Commission sent a bundle of files to my lawyers at the time, and at that time I was doing an FOI, Freedom of Information, requesting the Healthcare Complaints Commission to provide me all the communications regarding my complaint, and they wouldn't give it to me, but they said that all the documents been sent to my lawyer. I changed lawyer at the time, so they sent to this lawyer, and in that file of the 90-page document, the prescription of the John Smith complaint was mixed in with the Westmead complaint. So I asked the Healthcare Complaints Commission, why is that? Because what happened was that because what happened is that the two complaints were made through the same portal. It was made on the same days, only hours apart, and the two complaints had lined up the dates. So there's a question in the healthcare, in AHPRA portal. It asks which date do you have concern about this doctor? So usually it's the question relating to when do you have interaction with this doctor, from what day to what day, and the Westmead complaints indicated it's from the 1st of August to the 1st of September. And the John Smith complaint had it from the 1st of September to the 27th of September. Now, 27th of September was when they lodged the complaint against me. So what it's done is that it allows the health regulator to investigate me over a period of 2 months without any gaps in between. Now, who would know how to do that? How can the two independent complainants able to line the dates up perfectly from the 1st of August to the 1st of September, the 1st of September to 27th of September? Now, I told them there's collusion between the two complainants. Well, I believe there's a collusion. They should investigate. And what they did was that they removed the document of the Westmead complaint when they filed this application to cancel my license. They removed that from the document, and they put in the complaint that the intern made to the Healthcare Complaints Commission, because they knew that I was going to try and line up the dates. I'm going to try to compare the dates to show there's collusion between the two complaints, and I would have trouble because they didn't submit those documents. So in my affidavit, I have to do that. I have to include the document that they forgot to, or they deliberately, well, maybe not deliberately, but they omitted to include in the submission. And I wanted to demonstrate that there was collusion between the two complainants. And if there's collusion, I mean, that's bad faith. They use a complaint that's completely these people have acted in bad faith, and I could demonstrate that, and so they should drop my case instead of investigating me years on end. So there was a deliberate cover-up of documentation going into this hearing. And they also admitted to me that because I had concern about collusion, that they would write it to, they would submit the issue about John Smith to the independent corruption, ICAC, independent, what does it stand for? I forgot. Independent corruption.
Watchdog.
ICAC, what is ICAC?
That's a very against corruption is the last two letters, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I just ask Tony a question? Tony, as another observer, like I've been watching this case now for ages and doing updates, I've come to the belief, and I just wonder what you think, that it's actually not even personal against My Lee. What they're
No.
doing with My Lee and these other doctors by drawing this out for years is terrifying every other doctor in Australia. Do what you're told, or you'll end up
Yep.
like Dr. My Lee.
And guess
That's
what?
my thought.
And guess what? It's worked terrifically.
Yeah, it has.
It's been really effective.
Yeah, it has. I really feel it for you, Doc, because I really believe, I just was on a thing with Dr. Malik in England. He agrees too. They're doing the same over there. I mean,
That's what Julian Assange went through. Julian Assange went through 14 years of it to shut the media down, to control the media. They needed to have, first they had to control the media, First the journalists were shut down. Like George Orwell said in 1984. First they came for the journalists, then we don't know what happened. And that's exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now they're after the doctor. Well, they're after us. We're the target. And by losing our good doctors like My Lee, we've lost a significant defence. I mean, we need our good doctors like My Lee more than ever right now, because we're just getting bombarded with all sorts of new concoctions, and, I mean, and we don't know what's going on, and we're just being lied to. And now we're being character assassinated as a bunch of fringe lunatics on four corners on our national broadcaster.
Yeah, that's right. They actually claim they talk to our leaders, and I was thinking, well, who are they? Because I don't know who our leaders are. We're all just trying to walk towards Nirvana in our different paths.
I've been mixing with this community for 6 years now, and I haven't found a bad egg. They're all beautiful people.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, and
they're placid people. There's not a bit of violence in any of them. They're all, and they're all elderly. Most of them are my age. It's.
But Tony, think of all the marches. Like I went to all the Melbourne marches. I've been in marches in every city, actually, even Darwin. The only violence I've seen was from the police to us.
Yeah,
I haven't.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I've seen. I've seen horrific police violence. No, I'm not talking about the police. No, what the police did to that woman my age when they threw her on the back and she fell on the, and cracked her head on the back. And a couple of them following also pepper sprayed her straight into her eyes, I mean, this was going around. We knew it was happening. And when you got shot in the back at the shrine, I mean, that footage has gone around the world. I mean, that's proper violence. That's, Stalin violence. That's Hitler. That's Third Reich nonsense. Bloody horrible.
There's a guy in Epic who was in the library car park. I won't stray too far. His name is, I think it's Les, and I'm mates with him now. He's about my height. I'm only a little fella, and he's 74 years old. When the cops held him down in Epic, they were all on top of him because he stood up to them as they came in. They were pushing old people around. And they got the pepper spray so close to his eye. While he was held down, he couldn't move, so he was already restrained. And they sprayed him in the eye. He could actually see the end of nozzle. He's 74 years old. This is young Australian males beating up mature Australian males. I cannot fathom how they can go home to their families and with their heads up after doing that. I cannot. I just don't understand. It's the same with the police and the violence against women. I can't comprehend how this is happening.
No, look, I've seen personally police do similar things. No, look, There's an old saying: power attracts psychopaths.
But My Lee, how are you coping? I mean, don't give any trade secrets away, but I actually want you to say, I think it's really important you're saying now, because you're so over the target. Your case is so clear, and these guys, whoever's behind it, they're acting like sociopaths. I'd like you to say, are you feeling suicidal?
Definitely not.
Me either. How about you, Tony?
No,
Just in
no.
case.
I'm at the other end of the scale,
Yeah,
Michael.
me too. You say, Moose?
Be free. It's not long.
No, Michael, I believe we've won. I believe
I do too. Yeah.
I believe they're a chook with its head cut off. And a chook with its head cut off, if you've ever seen it, runs around more frantically than before it has its head cut off. I believe we have won. I believe we can relax now and just settle in and get the bag of popcorn ready.
I think
serious.
people are rising. They can't. There's no way they're going to be able to push another pandemic. It's just we ain't going to buy it.
No.
In fact, even though they signed the WHO and they say mandatory vaccinations, it's like bring it on. I'd like to really see you try go down the streets, house to house, force vaccinating Australians. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. You know, it's okay to write it down on a piece of paper, but to actually enforce it, come on. I mean, there'll be some that do it, but this is what I think. You know, it's an incredible time, and there's like even today we've had lots of people coming up today. They're all on our side, but secretly. Some of them have got false passports to keep jobs. Others, even a lot of jabbed people are still on our side now. It's amazing. The bus brings them in and they don't want to do interviews, but they're waiting. It's like there's this tension, and the government just has to make one wrong move, and the people are going to go enough. There might be you can feel it in the air. Yeah. You might be the spark, Doc. Little Cambodian fuse that finally someone lights it, goes off, and then suddenly people say no. That's why I say you should be. I wish I had the money and the skills to do a documentary on you, because your life right to this moment is an award-winning documentary of an Australian hero. You're a perfect example of why we should have migrants.
Michael, that documentary needs to be made, but we haven't quite got to the end of it.
No, I agree there, but it's her story from your childhood with your. I just feel this should be in libraries. This should be, and here you are persecuted like you're a danger to society. The ones attacking you are the dangers to society.
Correct.
That's what they are. They for some reason either they can't see it or they don't care. But that's what they are. It's an incredible tale.
I think they definitely know what they're doing. But what I want to say is that coming into this closing submission, it's been a really stressful time for me, because I couldn't convince my own barrister to write the closing submission the way that I wanted him to write, and as a consequence, I had to dismiss him, and I had to write this closing submission by myself. And it appears that the legal fraternity only wants to please the tribunal and please the government, and they were so fearful to put this argument, this legal argument across, because I don't want to put forward a merit argument. I want to put forward a jurisdictional argument, an argument in law, because it's completely what happened to me was completely incorrect in law, and that's what I want to. The argument I want to put forward, and no one would do it for me, so I had to do it myself. And when I had to I did look for a barrister to present the oral submission, and no one. I couldn't find anyone. So,
as Anthony said, these lawyers and barristers, I'm not saying they're bad people, but they can't serve two masters, and their allegiance is to the court. And also, no offense, but one of the highest paying contracts they can get is from government contracts. So they're probably very wary of upsetting the government, because they've got to pay their Porsche repayments and BMW repayments to cover and shit like that. You know what I mean? Their trips to the Aspen to go skiing and stuff. You're not going to do that if you're rattling the government cage. So you can see why. Can I ask, what was his arguments as to why he didn't want to do it? Did he? Or he's just saying no? Did he give any arguments?
Oh, so I believe that well, he didn't give me an excuse. He said that my arguments were incorrect, and he put forward a different kind of argument. So in a case, you have arguments that what we call merits. So, you know, a good or bad reason as to why you do certain things. And you can't win on merit argument, but you can win if you have a good legal argument. So if certain things has gone incorrectly in law, and you can put forward that case, and it's black and white, and you should be able to win on those grounds. And that's what I want to put forward, because that's exactly what happened to me. Everything that happened to me was illegal or unlawful. And so if they refuse to put forward such argument for me, were they not acting in my best interest? And I can't have anyone who's I have to pay for and still acting not in my best interest. It
You're
makes
so
no
brave. I'm sorry. You're extraordinarily brave. It's quite, yeah. They truly picked the wrong doctor. And I'm telling you, Tony, they would have looked at her and go, look, she's small, she's Asian, she'll just shut up and do what she's told. And you're right. That's what I'm telling you, that it would have been. This is it, and they so wrong.
So before going into this hearing, I wrote a very strong letter to the president of the tribunal, saying that I've been unhappy with the hearing and the way it was conducted, and that the members have acted in bias. And I wanted her to make sure that the hearing I was going to was going to be proper. So she actually took it more seriously, and she decided to investigate the members that were conducting the hearing. So when we first started at the beginning, I noticed there's a change in the demeanor of all the members. They all were very unhappy. They had long faces and they were very, very quiet. Besides the judge, no one spoke. So I thought, wow, this is a change from the 7 days that I've had earlier. And because of that, it helped me a great deal, because it means that they have to conduct the hearing fairer, and they have to give me an opportunity to speak, and they have to be nice to me, because I'm a self-representing litigant and I don't know the process, and they have to be patient with me. And they did. The judge did offer me, afford me all those, how do I say? I was given that he was fair to me and gave me plenty of opportunity to speak, and not pressurizing me, and that gave me a lot of time and confidence in presenting my case, and that helped me a great deal. Yeah.
Dr. Paul, did you have any questions? You said.
Again, I'm zooming out a bit, and I looked up, asked Grok about Health Complaints Commission and the key principles. So just get your view on the key principles. So we've already covered the first one. It says the Act emphasizes several core principles in handling complaints. The paramount consideration for public protection. So, how do you think the HCCC's actions are fitting in with that paramount?
Sorry, Paul.
I'm just.
Cutting out a bit.
Oh, sorry. So, yeah, we've already said that's a bit of a joke, really. This paragraph, but that's a key principle. Independent and fair resolution. The HCCC is established as an independent body to receive and assess and investigate and prosecute complaints impartially.
Yes.
Maintaining the integrity of the New South Wales health system. How do you think they went so far? No comment. You can say pass. You can say pass if you want.
Can I answer it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
There's
I
two
shall
types.
grant Tony leave to speak for my leave. What the judge should have said.
No, you have a chance, Tony.
There are two types of cases that come before the HCCC. There are the cases like Mylee, where it's quite clearly fraudulent, where quite clearly these practitioners are acting in the interests of their patients and ignoring the advice that comes down from the health regulators. For example, in Mylee's case, she ignored the fact that she was not allowed to treat someone who was sick with COVID-19. Now, that's
that's not true, Tony. They never said you're not allowed to treat. They just said these are the guidelines, and the guidelines are do nothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but they're applying they apply the guidelines as though they're mandatory requirements. And all of a sudden they sack practitioners that step outside those guidelines and treat patients. Okay. And they're quite clearly good practitioners that are being not only personally persecuted and having their lives destroyed, but their thousands of patients are without their good advice, without their genuine their loved GP. You know, think of all the people up in the Hills District that Mylee's practice used to treat. They've all been denied Mylee. Okay, so that's the first group of people that are before the Commission. The other group are the genuinely dangerous doctors. You know, the bad guys, the ones that are killing people. I mean, I've got a very close friend whose mother died 6 years ago in a little hospital, a little private hospital on the North Coast. And she'd been through a gallbladder resection. And she complained that her daughter stayed with her all night in the hospital. And she was in such agony, and she kept calling the daughter did, calling the nurse, can you do something? And all the nurse could do was up the medications for pain relief and refused to wake up the doctor who operated on her. The woman died within a couple of days. And my friend, the daughter of this woman, has been trying to get to the bottom of it. And the other day, 6 years later, and meanwhile, the doctor and the nurses in the hospital and the hospital administration have all been going along as normal. There's been no punitive action at all for the last 6 years. These dangerous practitioners, these dangerous substandard practitioners, a whole little hospital worth of them, have been unregulated. And the other day, the coroner finally handed down a very clear decision that it was negligence. It was medical negligence that killed that woman, and she should not have died. She died as a result of a lack of professional care. Now, one wonders whether they're now going to go and pursue those doctors and nurses. My answer is no, they won't. No, they won't. So there are going to be other people treated by that hospital that are going to suffer from the similar bad care. So when you look at the two cases, they're denying the public of good doctors and they're leaving the bad doctors out there to keep killing people. So they're not acting in our interests. They're not restraining the bad ones, and they're hobbling the good ones. I mean, it's Do we need any more proof?
Well, let's
How
go
much-
through them. There's Dr. Hobart, who's beloved.
Yeah.
He's had to sell his practice now. He was
Yep.
beloved by his. You couldn't get in to see him. He was so loved. There's Dr.
Yep.
Dennis Borchos, also in his town before he started issuing exemptions to everyone. Beloved, he was the go-to man in the town. The hospital called him for everything. He was absolutely integral to the health of their town. Thrown out, kicked out. Dr. William Bay, I actually went on rounds with him where when I was in Queensland just before my heart attack. He was so incredible with the patients, and I don't believe he was acting for me. He was just so lovely and so clever. You know, is so intelligent, so clever, so caring, so wonderful. I was thinking, my God, I'd love you to be my doctor. He just saw that he was doing what he was meant to be doing. And I can't think of the others, but going through all of them, sorry to the ones I've forgotten, these are good doctors. Our country is at a loss for the loss of these doctors and the nurses that we lost and the paramedics that we lost and the phlebotomists and everybody else that we lost.
And
through
midwives, yep.
midwives, naturopaths, you know, all these people that lost their jobs because of this ridiculous mandates. We lose. Hey, Dr. Dan, I'm so glad you're on board, buddy. Listen, I got a question here, Dr. Dan. Let me get it up here. This is from Jicky, Dr. Land. Jicky Leaks from the Mouse Army. Before you process, Dr. Dan, I wonder if you've got any questions as to, here we go, to your connections to Big Pharma, Sanofi and Regeneron. Yeah. Regeneron. That's why we have a doctor on board here, Dr.
I think I used to have shares, not for long though.
Yeah, you used to have shares? Yeah. Anyway, so your work for Big Pharma, Dr. Dan, explains your passion against us. Just saying.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on, Doc.
I wonder if he's fully disclosed his conflicts of interest. I can tell you, calling out Dr. Dan is probably my conflict of interest because I get a slight pleasure from that, but that's about it.
Also, I was given a T-shirt witness statement. If you haven't seen it, look up the documentary. People said to me, "Oh, you won't wear that." I go, "Why want to wear it?" So anyway, I'm wearing it. There's things from that.
Another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you think, Marley, they've done in respect to consultation and due process?
Sorry, Paul, I can't hear you. I've just lost you a bit. there.
Oh, I was just asking, how do you think the HCCC has done with respect to due process?
There's no due process. They've done nothing correct. Nothing, zero. There's zero due process. And
Next question.
I think that alone amounts to jurisdictional error.
Next question. In terms of the huge amount of public resources they've spent keeping you, in court, what's your opinion of their resource allocation over at the HCCC?
I can't. You mean how much did it cost them?
Do you think we're getting value for money by persecuting? because I mean I'm a taxpayer too, and it's costing, and I paid in part for your persecution, and I'm just wondering, as a public service, we talked about public health. They must be getting something really good for the Australian public by spending. Yeah, okay.
Eight days tribunal hearing, 3 lawyers, 4 tribunal members, and I don't know what else behind the scene. This is just talking about the hearing alone, not talking about the preparation and everything else. So Yeah.
Millions.
Oh, Dr.
Yeah.
Pay too. I forgot to mention Dr. Pay. An enormous loss to the country that Dr. Pay is not allowed to be a doctor, you know.
And a couple of other questions, Miley. I wanted to ask you about frivolous and vexatious complaints. Because as Grok says here, the Act does not provide explicit definitions, but these are grounds for dropping your case.
Yes.
And I wonder if you had a feeling about, I think that's something you were trying to articulate when you went to the panel during your summation.
I did. So that was in my affidavit, and I think in my closing submission as well. But that should have been done ages ago. That the minute they had the complaint, they should have just threw it in the bin. They shouldn't even inform me because they were frivolous and fraudulent.
Yeah, it's beyond. Hang on, it's beyond frivolous. It's beyond.
It's evil.
It's beyond frivolous. It's criminal. It's fraud.
Yeah.
There's a lot of difference. There's a lot of difference between frivolity or vexatiousness and criminality and fraud, and it's quite clearly fraud.
Yeah, frivolous implies triviality, and there was nothing trivial about this persecution. But in terms of vexatious, so that implies a lack of merit. But vexatiousness suggests an abuse of process, and I think that's what you were mostly focusing on. That you're trying to say, I feel unsafe here. Yes, you're admitting it's an inquisition, but it's an inquisition. This is an abuse of process, and I think a lot of our listeners would agree with that.
Well, I think that John Smith complaint is completely fraudulent, and the thing the concern is that it's linked to APRA, and so the question is they should have forwarded this to the police to investigate what exactly took place. They have that responsibility to refer the matter to the police, and I've made this clear in my affidavit as well that the matter should have been referred to the police.
Amen. Also, APRA transcribes all the interviews we do with doctors, so they'll be transcribing this one. So may I just say, APRA, that I have recorded Dr. Hobart saying twice, he hasn't revealed a name as yet, but I'm sure he would if we pushed, that just before ivermectin was banned and just before Dr. Hobart was suspended, one of APRA's high-ranking members came to his surgery wanting a prescription of ivermectin because they'd had an adverse reaction to the COVID jab. Shall I say that again in case you're transcribing slowly? One of the heads of APRA, high-ranking APRA person, came to Dr. Hobart's surgery to get a prescription for ivermectin because they'd had an adverse reaction to the COVID jab, which was safe and effective. Of course, safe and effective. I just thought you'd give the person who's transcribing that a bit of a giggle. If you could put a smiley face next to that, I'd be really appreciative. That's true. We've got it in recording. That's true evidence. That's true evidence. That should have everyone outraged. When he first told me that, I couldn't believe it. But he's told me 2 or 3 times since. He said, yeah, that happened.
Michael, but then they print out all these transcripts in great big booklets and then charge you for it. Mm-hmm. This is the scam. There's money in these persecutions.
So I paid $6,000 for the transcript.
Nice.
And I had to because the judge made an order for the transcript transcript to be produced to him and the members. So, I
But
mean,
not just you, all the government agencies and all their busy photocopiers and printers, you know, they'd like to lob you. You know, they're supposedly acting for the public, but they want to throw that bill on you too. I would imagine, Marley. This is all part of the scam.
yeah. I just want to add that I had the opportunity at the hearing to call the judge and the members out on their apprehended bias, and that was really good.
No, well, that was
yes.
that was
Tell us about that.
that was a beautiful moment in the court, because as soon as she accused them of apprehended bias, the judge had to stop the proceedings. No, he said that. He said, we've got to
What did
stop.
he say, Tony?
Sorry?
Sorry. I was just stunned by that. So he stopped the proceedings.
Yeah, no, he asked her, he said, are you accusing the HCCC of apprehended bias, or are you accusing us at the tribunal of apprehended bias? And Miley said, both of you. And he said, oh, well.
No,
and
I
he's
called
I don't recall him saying both.
apprehended bias. Yeah. So he said, who are you calling out on? I said, you, Your Honor. So
beautiful moment. Beautiful moment.
Not go gentle into that good night.
Beautiful moment.
That is so beautiful. Wow.
You can see why they didn't want this televised, you know, and why they didn't want the people visiting from interstate to even hear.
It's all going to be in the transcript. It'll all be in the transcript. It'll be in the movie. It's going to be in the documentary.
How did the court react, Tony?
Well, he had to stop proceedings.
No, but how did
he
the audience?
No, the audience were really well behaved. Everybody was silent like buggery. Nobody wanted to get kicked out. No, everybody was on the edge of their seats and were biting their lips.
It was hard to get seats. You didn't want to get kicked out.
Yeah,
because
everybody was and the doors were open and everybody's straining outside to hear, but nobody made a whisper that was deadly, because everybody's on the edge of their seats. And when the presiding member said, I've got to stop proceedings and deal with your accusation of apprehended bias, and he spent, I don't know, how long was it, 10, 15 minutes, going through all the points you'd raised. And
so
saying this.
To give an example of, what they've done wrong. So I said to him that he put me on the stand to give evidence, and he asked me to answer the question as yes or no only, and I can't give any more information. And I was pressured to just say yes or no. And I said to him, I can't tell you yes or no, because neither of the answers were correct. To tell the truth, nothing but the truth. I can't be pressured to just say yes or no. And I said that he was intimidating and he was belittling me. He put me down, and I felt pressured by him and all that.
Intimidating. Yeah.
So he had to rule over that, over my
accusation. So he had to rule on the accusation of his behaviour.
Yeah.
That was the judge.
Yeah.
He decided he didn't have bias, Michael. It's okay. He said, he went out and he thought about it and said, nah. And came back.
That's not fair.
No. It's completely
No, it's not legal. No, it's not.
It's not lawful.
It's not. No, I'm sorry. That's
Here's the thing, Tony. This is one of the things I'm trying to tease out. That there is this level of bias that's sort of like when you're part of the cult, you know, you have to go. You're stuck in time. You know, I should be triple masked now. You know, I don't know. I don't know how they quite. But once you're within the cult, you're within the cult. That's a bias. They can't. They don't get the frequency. You know what I mean? And it's very hard to say, look, guys, you're a little bit out of phase. You're still caught in 21. You know, you're following this sort of totalitarian global dictatorship script. But the free people of Australia see this and the abuse of power and the abuse of the health professional council's authority, you know, and we wanted to stop. But meanwhile, they're like, do you know what I mean? How do you explain that to them in the court? You know, I'd be thrown out so quickly. But
look.
I'm so good for him.
I've had a lot of experience over the last 6 years on the streets. Firstly, defending Julian Assange. Well, raising awareness, telling people the truth about this man. And in more recent times, David McBride, who's in jail at the moment for 5 years and 8 months for telling the truth. Dan Duggan, who's an Australian citizen that's about to be sent for America, although he's committed no crime. He's been held for 1,020, 30-something days and counting. An ATO whistleblower, Richard Boyle, who exposed the ATO as targeting small family businesses and giving a free run to the corporations. Mary Kostakidis for her reporting on Palestine, and Dr. Miley Trent. And I tell you, of all these people that I've been raising awareness for, by far the easiest one to get the public on side with is Miley. I mean, give me 5 minutes with anybody and I'll have them in tears supporting her, you know, wanting to give me money to help her. You know, I mean, her story, as I've said to her a million times, is so perfect, you know.
Yeah, it is. It is, Tony. I totally agree. In fact, it's so incredible. I don't want to be on the wrong side of history. I don't want to be in the part of the Australian herd that actually deregisters her. I don't want to be that. I'm on this side because that is a travesty. It's that I totally agree with you.
Miley thanks me every time I see her for what I do, and I say, Miley, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me.
I'm just scared of her.
No. She's a lovely woman, Michael. Do not be scared of her.
I don't want to get on the wrong side of her.
No, but you're not on the wrong side of it. No, you're on the...
I'm kidding. I love her. Honestly,
Well,
I'm kidding.
I got a call out.
No, I'm joking.
I
wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of her.
No, you don't want to be.
I know.
True.
I
Michael
can just
said
see
right.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's all I see. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Julian Assange used to say, courage is contagious.
Yes.
And I kind of understood it with him because his courage was certainly contagious for me. But I'd never had a personal contact with him. Having this personal contact with Miley, I mean, you know, I'm ready for anything. But I think the battle's over. I think Miley, to me, demonstrates they've lost. You know, they've lost the plot. I actually feel sorry for them. They're so misguided.
Well, if we're going to prosecute doctors for saving Australian lives, what does that say about us?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
In
it.
fact,
It's
it's not my lead is on trial here. It's the HCCC, and they don't
Correct.
see it. And
Correct.
they don't
Correct.
see it, and that's the problem. And that's what we're here to remind them, that they think that they're coming after Miley, but actually Miley and the rest of us are coming after them for acting
Correct.
like a corrupt crime cartel that we're just fucking sick of. You know?
Yeah. That's
And
absolutely
there's
right.
more of us than them.
You're
Just
not stuck in there with them. They're stuck in there with you.
There's just a few more of us than them.
Well, I have
About a,
to have the
about a
oversight.
million to one.
I've got the petition going for the Parliamentary Oversight Committee to investigate the Healthcare Complaints Commission. So I've got about 1,500 signatures already.
How many do you need?
As many as possible.
Do we have a link? Is it an online petition? Is there a link?
It's on my Facebook.
Can you put it in the private chat?
Yes, I can.
And then I'll post it here.
Okay.
Yeah, get everybody to sign that, because John Ruddock, MLC's pushing it in the New South Wales State Parliament. So we've got someone inside.
Well, oh, Dan's back. Okay, Danny. So if the defence hinges on ivermectin, if defence hinges on let me do it. If defence hinges on ivermectin working with COVID and a steroid dosing for the appropriate, she may be in trouble. Their expert witness said that those things saved the woman's life, Dan. Their expert witness said that, Dan.
On day one. On day one.
Oh, yeah.
From a question from the presiding member. The presiding member asked one of their own expert witnesses whether he believed that her treatment saved that patient's life. And he quite unequivocally said yes.
Yeah.
And
I thought,
a little bit of context. Pierre Corey championed steroid use at a time when initially they said, "Oh, don't give steroids." And they showed that the steroids worked, and even though there was a trial that was meant sort of set up half to not show it, it still showed a positive signal, and then they started to introduce steroids into the treatment protocols, especially cytokine storm, lung involvement, COVID. It became accepted, but it didn't start that way, but all the protocols were talking about low dose, very low dose, the type of steroid that you use on your skin rather than the type that you want that has good lung penetration. And the people who were treating COVID were using prednisone, prednisolone, and much higher doses, befitting someone who's likely to die in the next few hours if you don't treat them, yes, steroids.
So I want to say, sorry.
I remember my dad when he years ago, when he was alive, he was on steroids. Suddenly he had a gym membership, and he was going. That's not what my dad was like. Although he was very sporty when he was young, it sped him up. So this woman survived, but she was still a bit sped up from the pulse steroid. Now that's part of the treatment. But what's the alternative would have been to see their whole mindset is that you can't treat COVID. That's the insane thing. That's the hill. That's the hill. Their diet, and so Miley was using appropriate doses or higher doses, but it only seems high, especially when you don't figure in the context of COVID and the much higher doses of the people who were treating and using it, and the emergent nature of the situation where you will you will do what you can to save a life, especially when the woman had left hospital after thinking, they're doing nothing for me, and I can't be with my loved ones. And they're trying to make it look like you said, don't go back, don't go to the hospital, don't call hospital, whatever. That's, that wasn't the situation. You explained it to them, but whether or not they, register, it's another question.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, their expert witness, their professor, Professor Glanville, he never treated anyone with COVID before. He never treated anyone with severe COVID with cytokine storm before. So he doesn't have the authority to say that I'm wrong.
Why is he an expert?
Well, that's it. And the irony
He wrote
is
the protocol. He wrote
he
the
wrote the protocol.
Michael. He wrote the
He
protocol
wrote
to do.
the protocol.
Oh, he wrote the protocol. Oh,
It's to
yeah,
protect the protocol. He was on the protocol committee, and he was there to protect the protocol.
committee.
He was the
Yeah.
one that recommended no treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also
The
he
link, Smiley. I've got
Sorry?
your Facebook. See, I'm trying to find the treatment. Not the treatment.
the guy
petition.
the petition. I posted it today, so it should
Yeah,
be.
I'll have a look.
The other thing is Professor Glanville admitted that he had used post-steroid on graft versus host disease. So he admitted that he used the same treatment as me on that patient. I mean,
Wow.
not on that patient, but the same protocol.
On his
the same-
transplant.
yeah, on his transplant patient. So what's the problem, Dr. Dan? Is he
Why don't you
still
call your
there?
big pharma mates? Maybe they got an answer. There's okay. Dr. No.
Should we rename Dan Sanofi Regeneron Oil?
Dan Sanofi. Regeneron.
Okay, I've got the yeah, I've got it. There it is. There's Dr. Miley's petition. If you want to sign it there, guys, I'll sign it after we get off the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
So I think this is something to sign. She's got 1,000 signatures. She needs more, so get that out there.
Yeah, so I want the Healthcare Complaints Commission to be investigated because I believe that this is a systemic issue. It's not just, I'm not the only person that they've done this to. They've done this to many people. And they have to be accountable for. What I want to say is that the law, the legislation, section 145D1, the requirement for them to refer us to the health practitioner to the tribunal, I don't believe that they've ever enforced this legislation. It's never been used on anyone. And this, because, and as a result of denying health practitioner of this due process, they have in effect abused the suspension power because they drag this years, the suspension on prolonged period, and the doctors or the health practitioner ended up losing their license, but they never get to have a hearing. So this is such an abuse of power, abuse of process, and the practitioner of natural justice. We don't get justice. Like you don't get a hearing. I mean, we're on this earth, we're supposed to be in a free country, a democratic country, and they go after you, and you don't have an opportunity to have a hearing. You don't get you don't have the opportunity to defend yourself. They just cancel your license.
Well, no, section 145D is put in there as a safety valve for the practitioner. So the practitioner doesn't go through years and years of process. The practitioner is immediately brought before a tribunal, and there is an immediate decision made on the guilt or innocence of the practitioner. That's the purpose of 145D. It's like habeas corpus. You just can't hold somebody indefinitely. You've got to take them before the courts immediately in a timely manner.
Tony, in Melbourne, that we've lost that right in a pandemic. That's why we fought Dan's bill. There is no habeas corpus now under this pandemic legislation. That's all we're fighting against.
Michael, there are no juries anymore.
Yeah.
In modern courtroom buildings, they don't build the provision for a jury box. And common law means it's law administered by the people. People decide the guilt or innocence of the accused, people decide the sentence of the abused, and people decide about the laws themselves, whether the laws are wrong. I mean, in pure common law, as it is supposed to be practiced and has been practiced now for 1,200 years. Common law started 1,200 years ago, and that is the fundamental of common law. King Alfred, who commenced it in the 9th century, said, I make the laws, but you decide on the guilt or innocence of people that break my laws, and you, in fact, decide whether my laws are appropriate or not. And that's the fundamentals of common law, and that's why it's called common law. And all these cases are being dealt with summarily, and it's all illegal. It's all illegal. It's all fraudulent. They're all fraudulent courts because they're allowed to deal with us summarily, but they need our consent. They need us to sign a document to say we're losing our right to a jury to decide my speeding fine, and I'll let you, the magistrate, decide on my guilt or innocence. But we've got to sign a document before we do that. And as far as I know, I've never signed any consent for a summarial treatment of anything I've faced. Not that I've faced a lot of stuff. I've been a pretty clean liver. But you know what I mean? I mean, this is the basis of our legal system, and it's just been taken away from us. No longer exists. Gone. And nobody questions it.
I agree. When I was being tried for the fines I accrued in the protests, I ended up, it was 8 times before I finally sat before a magistrate. But I was told to turn up in the morning. I turned up in the morning. They wouldn't hear my case to wait in the afternoon, so I had to wait there all day. And then they just threw me out of court. But I was watching the magistrates. They were just conning people into giving in. You know, just find guilty and you'll get a lesser fine, lesser fine, lesser fine, no fine. They were just conning. Just, you know, it was just making money, really. You know.
Yep.
These people just couldn't be bothered and were giving in. Yeah, okay, I'll take that fine. Yeah, okay. You know, this is it.
It's a good business. I was wondering, Tony, if people should be starting to issue writs of quo warranto. You know, by what warrant? You know, by what authority some of these people are acting? Because one thing we haven't done in the courts yet is challenge certain individuals and their authorities. I'm looking forward to that. I think that might be coming if they continue to.
No, look, these common law groups, as they're called, are springing up all over Australia. It's fantastic. But there's one character that I've come across that's been fighting this common law battle since the 1980s. He's a dentist who borrowed money from the bank with a variable interest rate, like we all do. Well, it turns out variable interest rates do not meet the requirements of a contract because a variable interest rate is not certain, and certainty is one of the elements that must exist before a contract is valid, is legally enforceable. And we're the only, and Michael, we are the only country that does it. That's why our 4 big banks are the most profitable in the world.
I got to get you on, Tony, and have a chat about this. So we're not stripping away from what Marlee's going through, because it's really great to get you on. I just like listening to your voice. Your voice is seriously, man.
That's why the judge doesn't like Tony.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Well, look, over the last 6 years, Michael, I've picked up a few bits and pieces.
So, sorry, Dr. Marlee, people are asking for links other than Facebook for the petition. Is it on Twitter?
It's on Twitter as well, yes.
Yeah, it's on X. It's on who am I telling? Yeah, so guys, go to Dr. Marlee's X. I might even put it on my yeah, I'll get X on mine, put it on mine as well.
'Cause I want the Healthcare Complaints Commission to get into trouble.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to try, Miley. They're doing it for themselves. You don't have to lift a finger. You can just relax.
I mean, a
They're doing an-
parliamentary inquiry. A parliamentary
They-
inquiry is not too much to ask.
No.
After all, they've already, you know, I don't know how much they've spent on your prosecution, but they, you know, we should have accountability just on that, you know. But there's enough of us, I think. People should sign the petition because there's enough of us who feel that they're not acting lawfully, and you know, if they want to maintain the trust in the legal system and the medical profession, they should be able to face a bit of transparency.
Agree.
Look, when you ask the average person, do you trust politicians? They all say no. We all know the politicians lie. We all know that they promise things and don't deliver on their promises. We all know that. It's not. There's no news in that. But we used to believe in our doctors and our nurses, and I'm included. Not only did I trust them, I loved them. You know, whenever I had any sort of medical treatment, I was just in awe of them and so trusting of everything they did. And look, I was a bit crook last week, and after thinking about what I went through, I should have actually gone to a hospital and got a scan, got something. But I thought, nah, I'm not going to go near a doctor. I'm not going to go near a hospital. I'm too scared. I'm just too scared. I'm not going to put my trust in those institutions. I've heard too many bad stories.
Oh, I can say there that I was surprised how well I was treated. Because I was in 4 hospitals, so
I know. I watched.
They were great to me, and I actually think they're really good people. They're in the trench with us, fighting for my life, but they're just unaware of what we're going through. They just have no idea what Dr. Miley's facing. They're just, they're just unaware, and this is why I think it's like going online like this is great, and we've got really great numbers tonight, despite 4 Corners special. But there's, but I think we need, and that's why I like the fact that Dr. Miley goes and protests. This is what we need to do to get the word out there. It's what the Blue Bee's about, Tony. It's actually making us visibly seen now. We've got to have the online stuff going, and you do it too, Tony. I met you in the park. I love it. You're interviewing people. You're doing it, Rosemary Marshall, with the forest. This is what we need more of. We need to be visually seen now, because if we're not visibly seen, it's almost like we're ashamed of ourselves. And after 5 years of standing up against a $1 trillion propaganda attack, and we're still here, and we're still feisty, and we're still laughing, and we still want to fight, it's time to be proud of ourselves, and we need to show our pride so other people can courage spread. So we've got the courage to be seen. Other people go, well, what are you doing? Who are you guys? And that's what we need. That's what we need.
And look, we saw with Julian Assange 5 years ago, his rating in Australia, he had about a 20 or 30% support in Australia 5 years ago. That grew to 80%, over 80%.
Yeah.
And the people out I believe it was the people out on the streets like us that all around the world, every major city.
We drove around with him on the back of our bus, and everywhere we went, we saw Free Julian Assange everywhere. It was everywhere, graffiti, everywhere you went. And it's time for us to do the same, and to get out there. We've got a right to be free, and we've got a right to fight for our freedom.
Julian Assange woke us up to the fact that there's something not right.
Yeah.
And, in the last 5 years in freeing him, we've kind of freed the truth, or we've got people to start questioning. And And at the beginning, it was like, again, it was, at the beginning of COVID, it was like 20% or 15% on our side, and 85% were putting their arms out to get bloody needles stuck in them, But now you talk to people, as Rosie Marshall does, and the statistics are flipped. Now it's 15% of people that want to shut up, and it's 85% of people that want to speak up. We've won. We're there.
But people are still afraid of losing their jobs. There is still the climate of fear that they still have what Miley's persecution shows is they still have all the instruments of torture and control in place, and that's why we have to continue.
But Paul, in 6 months, December last year was a whole different feeling to August this year, 8 months, 9 months, right? In Miley's case, they were like a pack of savage dogs. And the other day, they were like a bunch of scared kittens. The change in their demeanour was unbelievable.
It's true.
And
Well, they must realise they're on the wrong side. They have to realise they're on the wrong side. They
do now. They do.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Miley, is there anything else you'd like to share with us tonight, my dear?
I just want to thank the public for supporting me, and Cafe Lockout, Paul, Dr. Paul for coming, and Tony, and lots of people who came to support me, because I think that support was play a critical role in helping my case, because it's the public that they fear, not me. They're scared that you guys know about what happened to me, and the fact that people were watching, even though they couldn't hear anything outside, in the with the hearing room, with the door being opened. If you're outside, you can't hear what the judge is saying. But these people gathered around the door and they watched, they looked in, and just an act of showing that they're interested in the case, and they're watching what the members are doing. And I think that play a significant role in helping me getting justice. And I'm glad that I got to speak instead of Tony. Tony, you would have done a wonderful job, but
No. Can I just butt in here? If I'd done it, it would have been a far inferior job. No, the judge actually acted again in Miley's interest when he excluded me and forced her up on the stand. No, that was the best thing he could have done for her. Well, it wasn't. The best thing he did for her was by cross-examining their expert witness and getting them to reveal that Dr. Miley had saved a patient's life, saved patient A's life.
Patient's life.
So I felt really satisfied that I got to present the case myself, the closing submission, and I got to say what I wanted to say for this many years. And it doesn't really matter what they're going to do to me, whether they're going to dismiss the case because they're going to do the right thing, or whether they're going to cancel my license, because I will proceed to appeal to the Court of Appeal, because I want a court to make a declaration that Section 145D1 of the national law needs to be enforced, and they need to they should have referred me to the tribunal the moment they consider suspending me. And they had the duty to. So that precedent, with that declaration by the court, is very, very important, because it will put an end to this abuse by the Medical Council and the Healthcare Complaints Commission, this abuse of suspending health practitioners for years on end, unlawfully. And I hope that this will be the end of this abuse once I get the correct judgment in the Court of Appeal.
Yeah. Look, the government doesn't make a good doctor. I don't know if people know this, but But the government actually is a really, really bad choice of doctor. And they're shutting up all the people who are saying, hey, government, he's fucking up. You know, honestly. So this is the problem. The government is trying to play doctor, and they're using the weapons of state to take away the ability of your doctor to actually look in your interests, because they're too worried about losing their job and their income stream and their mortgage. And if you're not terrified by that, and even if you're a member of the panel sitting judging Mali's case, you should be worried, because the autonomy of your doctor to make choices other than what the government strict protocol on everything is no longer medicine. And it's why I'm not practicing, because there is no medicine anymore. There is I would like to see someone take it to the High Court and argue conscription of doctors, because that is forbidden under the Constitution. And I think you could make a clear argument of conscription of the whole profession. And I'll just put that seed out there, because I've been longing to get to the High Court for ages.
I think Dr. Beverly Pierce is doing that.
She is, and but she got flicked back down to the Supreme Court, I think.
Not Valerie, Beverly.
Beverly, yes, Beverly. She was seen in the same day as Rod Cullerton. This was a couple of months ago. I could be wrong, because we haven't heard back from Beverly, but a case like that is important, because really, and your case is a reflection of it. The government shouldn't be your fucking doctor. Get the fuck out of healthcare.
Absolutely.
You know,
doctor, patient, relation. That's it. We
it's
don't need
really, really dangerous.
In the surgery, glaring at the doctor, making sure they say everything they want to say. That is ridiculous. We want a relationship with the doctor. That's it. Just ourselves, because we want our GPs to tell us the truth. That's it. We want someone in this planet to sit there and go, you're not plump, you're fat. Okay, just that's it. We need someone with the courage to tell us the truth, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And that's what we need. And
look, Michael, the truth hurts.
It does.
The truth hurts. The funny thing about that saying, the truth hurts, because it only hurts because we've been lied into subservience. And we shouldn't blame the truth for hurting us. We should blame the lie that preceded the truth for hurting us. But, people would rather live the lie than listen to the truth, because they don't want to be hurt. They don't want to face the fact that the government is not their government. It's not acting in their best interests. It's a kakistocracy. It's a kakistocracy. I learned a new word the other day. Look it up, everybody. Kakistocracy. Kakistocracy. It's a bureaucracy of people who are incompetent.
That sounds close, doesn't it?
That's great.
What do you mean close? It describes what's going on in the world, I reckon. The world is just one huge kakistocracy.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Paul, they reckon you're looking like a rap star. So what's your rap star name? Is it Be Free?
Yes, thank you. And as we say, be free. Be free.
Thank you, Dr. Miley, for coming on. Thank you, Tony, for coming on, being a great guest. We will reach out to you and get you on. I'd love to have you on. Doc, since you like the song, we go out with it again. You can introduce yourself, since you're the Be Free rapper.
I just love this song. Michael wrote the lyrics now for yesterday's, and to me it talks about the bee, because if you know, the bee has got a whole backstory, which really represents the movement. And the words, we've been arguing backwards for a few years now. What's freedom? And I think in the lyrics of the song, spells it out. So I just love it, and it's upbeat. It's like, yeah, let's be free, everyone. Let's be free.
This is me and AI. Be free. So I wrote this an hour before yesterday's show. And the blue bee, Tony, in case you don't know it, doesn't live in a hive, doesn't follow a queen,
Yes.
lives in a hole, but it likes to pollinate flowers using vibration, which means it wants to be a part of society, but it doesn't want to have a hive mind. It wants to
Yep.
be a free thinking, valuable part of society, like all three of you are here tonight. Good night, guys. Good day, Ron. Good night.
Good night. Night, Mike.
Thank you, Michael.
Historically, we are the debris, forgotten faces, never more to be. Instead of legends fighting for something that had no guarantees, living ghosts, we chose to live and die as their worker bees. Why didn't we break out from their hide? Why didn't we follow our own sun to another life? Why didn't we scroll over all their flowers? Brothers and sisters, it's okay to be free. Brothers and sisters, it's time to be freedom of movement, freedom of thought, freedom to choose, freedom to talk, freedom of religion and association, freedom of the press,